You know what? I am really excited about today's topic because this is something I know both of us have experienced quite a lot over the years, whether that be in business and whether that just be in life in general. And I have a suspicion that near enough every single person listening to this and watching this, they're going to have had experienced this at some point as well. So I think this is going to be a really valuable one.
And I actually am excited by it as well. It's probably a little bit of ego as well, I must admit, to sort of check in where this is coming from. But it does feel good. And I'll quickly sort of set the scene and discuss what we're talking about. We're talking about people who you should listen to and why. Because there's a few different elements to this, and I want to explain a number of those today. But the first one, I was a part of a Facebook group, and it was about growing your business. It was just about it was an entrepreneurship Facebook group in general. You know, there's people in there building a business, there's people in there for friends, there's people there to get clients. It was just an entrepreneurship group. And I was starting out, and I'm a very naturally inquisitive person. I like to ask questions. Yeah. I like to understand how things work. I like to challenge other people. I don't like to listen to what other people necessarily do. I like to sort of see different ways of doing it and ask questions and pick holes in things. I don't take things on face value. No matter how successful someone is, I will listen to what they have to offer, and I will model their behavior should I think that it might get me where I need to be. But I won't just look at someone and go, I'm going to do it like that because they're doing it like that. I will always ask questions and maybe try and suggest or think about ways of doing things differently. This is what I've always been. Anyway, so when I was first getting started, I was this little pimp squeak of a coach, and I was just asking questions all the time on the Facebook group. And what I kept on being met with over and over again was people giving me unasked for, unsolicited feedback, which was fucking snidey little comments, basically. That's what it was. Yeah. People trying to exert their authority and people trying to belittle other people in entrepreneurship because it makes them feel a little bit better about themselves. I'd ask a question, they'd say, well, you shouldn't be asking that question. What you should be. Well, in fairness, I might be distorting what they said a little.
It's like there's so much wonderful distortion going on here, even to the point of the way they speak, their facial expressions.
I've made up a complete
excuse me, you shouldn't be doing it like that at all.
And I knew they was doing that by the tone of their fucking words on that message.
I love that. But can I just address that for a minute? Because like that is actually really important that you brought that up and that you demonstrated that, because that's so human. We all do that, don't we? When we're faced with something that has affected us mentally, emotionally, that has, you know, whether or not that's for good or bad, whether it's made us angry or made us incredibly happy, we really embellish on the details in that sense, don't we? And it's just interesting.
Well, I did just mention distortion there. Now, for anybody who's doing our current NLP course and the CoachApp Masters, then you're about to learn about distortion. For people that maybe don't know, maybe they're new to coaching, do you want to quickly give us if you can give us a 60-second summary of that, just so people actually know what we're talking about, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're talking about is we're talking about one of the three main brain filters that we have. So in a very, very quick, in a nutshell summary, when we experience things out there in the big wide world, those things, I'm talking about events, I'm talking about when people say things to us, about us, when we see things, when we hear things, the world outside of us enters our system through our five senses. And then once it enters our system, it has to go through a filter process for us to be able to understand it. And three of the main filters that information goes through is deletion, where we delete information that's not important to us; distortion, where we start to warp the information that's given to us based upon our beliefs; and generalization, where we generalize, which is like a time saver. So to give you an example of generalization, you could have somebody who, let's say somebody says, oh, you know what? Everybody with blonde hair is like this, right? They'll generalize an entire fucking group of people who have blonde hair because once upon a time they met one person with blonde hair and that person wasn't very nice to them. As an example, that's generalization. The deletion is just literally like we literally just delete information that we don't deem as important. And Lewis is talking about distortion, where we change information in order to fit in with what we believe to be happening at the time. And a lot of the time, it's just our own internal brain filters. It's not what's actually happening.
No, Liam, it was fucking those bastards on the Facebook group. It wasn't anything to do with my distortion. It was fucking them. I was fine. I'm not the problem. They are. No, right. This, I'll take a little bit of responsibility for it. I might have distorted it a little bit, and that's because it sort of chips away at you, doesn't it? Like, first of all, I asked a question, and I got a little bit of resistance to it. So I'm like, that's annoying. And then they do it again, and I'm like, that's annoying even more. And then I'm going, I bet as soon as I put this fucking question out, someone's going to say something about it. And I'm like anticipating it. And then it does become this self-fulfilling prophecy where you look for it and then you find it. Yeah. So I am actually definitely distorting it. So maybe this Facebook Live is completely irrelevant. Maybe it doesn't matter whatsoever.
What's really interesting as well, just to touch on it a little bit, just that it's not what today's topic is about, but a lot of the time, those internal brain filters also influence what we do and the way we act. So like you said there, you put out one question and you got some negative feedback, unwanted, fucking unsolicited feedback. You do it again and it happens again. And then that third time where you say, you know what, I guarantee that when I put this question out there, I'm going to be faced with a shitty comment. That could almost influence what you're going to type as well. It could mean that you subconsciously type something a little bit that's provocative, do you know what I mean? Or a little bit something that's going to create a bit of a backlash, do you know what I mean? But you do it subconsciously. It's interesting how we do stuff like that.
Well, I thought I was being, it's interesting you say that, because I thought that I was being like really good and really nice and polite. But then someone called me what do they call me? A chopsy. I don't even know what that means. C-U-N-T. Chopsy, C-U-N-T.
Wow.
And I think what there was...
That's pretty harsh, isn't it? Like, I know that we like...
This particular person was actually on my site, but he goes, I've got to be honest, mate, you are a bit of a chopsy, and then he said C-U-N-T. So I think what he was basically saying was actually I was the one causing this shit in the first place. Anyway, that's a story for another day, but let's just pretend that I wasn't at fault here. There are people out there that do like to belittle people slightly in order to make themselves feel a bit more superior. Mm-hmm. And it's usually these trolls on Facebook groups that have got nothing better to do with their time. Now, someone wrote something this week on a Facebook group, and I thought, wow, that couldn't be more accurate. And something that I want you guys to be aware of. Because sometimes someone will put you down a little bit and you'll think, fuck, they're right. You know, maybe they are better than me. Maybe I'm not so good. Maybe I should stop having these ideas and asking these questions. Do not listen to these guys, right? And I'll tell you exactly why by reading out what this post said. Bear with me, just find it.
While you're finding that, I just think that it is such an interesting topic, this, and I like where we're going to go with this because, yeah, of course, even though, like we said a minute ago, we delete, we distort, we generalize information, there's no doubt about it that there are many people out there in the big wide world who are very quick to offer opinion and advice when they are completely unqualified to do so, you know, and that might be out of genuine love and support, or it might be out of somebody trying to big up their own, you know, their own ego. Who knows? But today, what we really want to talk about is being careful of that, protecting that, not allowing yourself to blindly take advice off of just anybody. And it happens all the time, doesn't it? All the time.
Yeah, and I can't find the post, but basically it was saying when you do get some unsolicited feedback from somebody, it's usually because those people have got no results for themselves and they're actually spending their time scrolling through social media, looking for people to belittle and looking for people to elevate the way they feel about themselves. Because they have no results in their life and they don't have that sort of significance from that, they're having to go out and they're having to look for ways to make themselves feel better. Busy, successful people don't have the time to be fucking giving loads of feedback on random people's posts in random fucking groups of people they don't have any investment or involvement with. So try and be careful as to who you're taking whose opinions you're taking on, because this is why I was feeling excited about sharing it from an ego point of view. Those people who used to really piss me off, I don't want to be too horrible about it. How can I say this in a fair way? They've got fuck all going on for themselves. I think that's quite fair to say. Yeah, they might be nice people underneath all that sort of negativity, but in terms of results in their business, they've got fuck all going on for themselves. And at the time, I didn't see it because obviously I was brand new and I was looking up to everyone like, oh God, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. Oh, you're better than me. You're right. You know what you're doing. Now I look at them and I go, actually, that person's probably still got a fucking job. Actually, that person doesn't have a fucking clue. And actually, people like you are completely sabotaging people's future. Because sometimes when you've got this like insecurity or this doubt or this limiting belief about yourself, and someone triggers it, someone like aggravates it, someone like touches that wound within you, you go, oh, they're right. Why am I doing this? I shouldn't be doing this. And they stop. And it's like, those people shouldn't be making those comments because they haven't actually got the results for themselves. So just to encapsulate the first bit we're talking about, be careful about taking opinions from people who are giving feedback on the internet, because I can tell you from experience that those people largely do not have results, therefore are not qualified to give you any advice. And just feel free to tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, it's interesting as well, because as you're saying that, it makes me realize as well all of the various different places that you can find these people. Because of course, in today's day and age, in 2020, online, it's a big space in order to be able to cross paths with people who are going to give you advice, right? Advice, feedback, whatever you want to call it, comments, observations, whatever word we give it. At the end of the day, the online space, there's going to be loads of people that are willing to just throw that in your direction, whether you've asked for it or not. So that's the first place to really stop and think, is this accurate? Is it important? Is it genuine? Is it true? Does it really relate to me? You know, don't just take it all on face value. Another place outside of the online world are the people around you. Friends and family, even friends and family. Now, friends and family will most of the time absolutely have your best interests at heart. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are the best people to take advice from and to take guidance from. And that's something that obviously happens a lot because we grow up with this sense that the people around us, our friends and family, they're the ones to listen to. But again, it always comes back to that question. Does this person have what I want? And if they don't, then they could have the best interests. They could have your best interests at heart. But if they don't have what you want, you've always got to be questioning whether or not the advice is good or not.
That's the key takeaway there. Do they have what you want? Because the thing is, when we grow up, we're sort of born into this hierarchy of authority where we look up to our parents for support and guidance, security, safety. And we naturally do what they say because we want to be fed, we want to be looked after. And at that point in our life, we haven't really identified what our values are, what we want our future to look like, if we're truly aligned and congruent with the people that are closest to us. So we're sort of making, decisions based on just trusting the people that we have available to us. Yeah. When you get a little bit older, you need to reevaluate, don't you? You need to go, right, thanks, mum, thanks, dad, thanks for looking after me, thanks for getting me to this point. But from a little bit of evaluation, I don't want to end up the way that you have ended up. Not because the position you're in isn't good for you, but I want different things. I value different things. Things are different for me. These things are important for me, but they're not important for you. And your way is right, but only for you. Your way isn't necessarily right for me. And it's at this point where you need to look at your parents and your friends and people that are at work, regardless of how authoritative they are. If they're your dad, of course, authority, you're like, fuck, I've got to listen to my dad. Do you? Why? People at work, yeah, but he's a CEO, he's a managing director, I've got to listen to him. Why? Yes, they're authoritative in their position, in their own right, doing what's the things that are important to them. However, the only person that really matters and the only person who you should really be taking advice from is yourself and what you truly desire and what you truly want and what's truly important to you, because there's nobody out there that can really tell you how to live your life other than yourself. You know, because that's what society is. It's basically living other people's life, doing things we think we should do and need to do and ought to do. We've rarely taken the consideration as to what they truly want, isn't it? So
absolutely. And I think because of that, a lot of people fall into the trap of not asking themselves what they want. We get so heavily reliant on listening to the opinions of other people, whether that be friends and family who are in an authoritative position, whether that be complete strangers. We so often forget to listen to ourselves and to talk to ourselves and ask ourselves what we want. It's almost like there's a few steps to this, really. Like that needs to be step number one, that you reconnect or connect with yourself and you get incredibly clear on what you want, what your pathway is going to look like, you know, what you desire. And then go out and find people who have done that exact thing. Talk to those people because they've been there, they've done it, and you've already established this is something I would like to achieve as well. You're not just taking advice off mum and dad or friends and family or people on the internet just because they've given you advice. You're starting to take advice from people who have actually proven that they are capable of getting the exact thing that you want. So if you're going to listen to anyone, listen to yourself and listen to those people who have actually got what you want, you know, because it's fucking easy to fall into the trap to do otherwise, isn't it?
So that's hugely valuable, guys. So first of all, work out what you want, find out other people who have those very things, whether that's freedom, whether that's mindset, whether that's peace, whether that's money or success, whatever's important to you. Find people that have that and listen to what they've done that's going to take them to that outcome. But there is a caveat, because that is like a good bit of advice, but also you've got to be careful because it's a little bit negative, but it's important, it's worth mentioning. Not everybody is out to see you win, regardless of success, because other people have different motives and some people will sabotage what you're doing for whatever reason. We can't really be held responsible for other people's actions, but we can be held responsible for how we allow it to influence and affect us. Now, we don't know what's going on in someone's mind. There could be all sorts of insecurity and jealousy and pain that's causing them to act in a certain way. And there are people out there that are out to get us. And it's a bit negative, but it's true, right? And I tell you a great, great way to identify these people. And it's the people that don't clap when you win. When you win and you succeed and you get an achievement, if they're sitting there, when everyone's like that and they're sitting there like that, either virtually or in real life, you know something's going on for that person.
It's really I was going to say, it's over the last year where we've been building our business a lot, gaining a lot of success, gaining a lot of traction, helping a lot of people, really carving out an incredible life for ourselves and the people around us. I've even noticed, you know, there are some people even very, very close to me who don't ever say anything, or it sounds really petty, right? But I do not recommend anybody even going down this rabbit hole. But after this happening 100 times, for instance, it's difficult not to notice. But like even certain people that are very close to you that will like never like a post that has got anything to do with an achievement. Like if it's a post about an achievement, there's always like a handful of people that you feel like are very, very close to you that don't say anything. And almost it becomes obvious. It actually becomes obvious that they've not said anything so many times that you think, they must actually actively not be clapping. They must actively not be saying anything.
And we do need to realize that it's not a reflection of ourselves. It's not anything that we've done. It's something that's going on for them. And everyone has their own. I mean, everybody seems to think that they're the only one with a fucked up head. All of our heads are fucked, and they're all fucked in different ways. And whoever is not clapping when we win and has their own hidden agenda and are trying to sabotage, or they're just trying to make themselves feel better about themselves in some way. Like they've got some sort of pain and discomfort and discontent and dis-ease with themselves. And when they see someone else doing well, it makes them feel maybe a bit inferior, a bit insecure in some way. So like we have got to be aware that, look, these aren't mean, you know, like malicious people that are rubbing their fingers together, looking about how they can fuck up our life. But some people are out to get us. And the quicker we can distance those people from us, and the quicker we can surround ourselves with people that want to clap when we win, that want to encourage us and support us and, you know, push us on for bigger and better things, even challenge us, but in constructive and positive ways, the more we're in this environment that's fostered and enabled us to grow, change, develop, and just achieve more from life. So the people that you spend time with and the people that you listen to are hugely detrimental and hugely beneficial, depending on who you surround yourself with, to you and your future.
Because talking about the flip side of that coin, how beneficial is it when you do get people that clap, when you do get people that applaud and support you, and then eventually you surround yourself with those kind of people, and it just increases the speed in which you're able to find success, find happiness. You feel better more often than not because everybody has got each other's backs. And those people, of course, exist. You know, we have found them. They are in Coaching and Freedom. They are in the Coaching Masters community. We found you guys and we reeled you in, and you're the exact kind of people that we want around us. And look at the results. You know, we celebrate our wins with this community. And therefore, we start to build up a community of people that would be interesting to listen to in regards to feedback, observations, you know, that kind of stuff, because you know, all of a sudden you're around a group of people who are on that same mission and on that same journey.
Something that Vicky Kerr just said. First of all, Vicky, congratulations and welcome to the Coaching Masters. Vicky will be joining us inside the membership and inside the accreditation. So thank you very much, Vicky, for being a part of the Coaching Masters, but you're brand new. But yeah, there was a comment here. My sister always comments by saying, ADHD kicking in again, Vic, another failure coming up. Luckily, I don't listen. Now, I really hope that you don't listen to that. But what I would say is this actually brings us in for another topic now, because a lot of people seem to think they're quite thick-skinned, don't they? They're like, oh, you know, nothing affects me. Oh, I don't care what people think of me. Those people usually care more than anybody else. The people that say, I don't give a fuck what people think about me, I feel better about the fact they really do care.
Yeah.
Just checking. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, perfect, mate. Perfect.
Yeah. And people sort of think that they got this thick skin, but what they don't realize is the subconscious brain is always going on, and the awareness and absorbing all this information is constantly happening, right? So whether you think it or not, when your sister says to you, another failure coming up, and you go, oh, I won't listen to that, swat, get out of the way. There's a part of you that's listening to that, and that is tapping into your insecurity, because it's always there. Like Liam, Coaching Master, myself, Coaching Master, we still have insecurities and doubts and fears. You know, that's human. And when we hear this information, it taps into that part of us, and it can affect us subconsciously. Even, you know, I mean, who here in the comments, let me know, who here has ever just not felt like they're ready for something, or they just feel like it's not the right time, or maybe they've tried to make progress, but it just hasn't ended up materializing, or maybe they procrastinate, or, you know, all of these things that seemingly just happen. They didn't just seemingly happen. There's a part of you that's operating. There's a part of you that's self-sabotaging. There's a part of you which is avoiding discomfort. There's a part of you that's been listening to those negative fuckers around you the entire time. Whether you think that they're bouncing off you like Superman, the bullets are just bouncing off, you're absorbing those messages, regardless of whether you think you care about it or not. And that is what can cause such a huge effect in your life, because those thoughts do create feelings, the feelings do create results, and results do change your fucking life. So I just want to say, regardless of whether you think that you've got thick skin and you can cope with these people, get them out of your life. Sister, sometimes that can sometimes be a little bit more difficult, but they need a strong talking to. You sit down and you say to them, I do not want you talking to me like that ever again, or you'll be the fuck out of my life. Because this is your life and your future we're talking about here. This isn't just like a passing little bit of banter between family siblings. This is something you are passionate about. You mentioned here, Vicky, about another failure coming up. So it's obviously something you've really taken a step towards and sort of saying, this is what I'm doing now. That's a huge commitment. That's a huge investment. That's a huge, like, take into the world there. And someone comes over and tries to stamp on it. Like, I would never let anyone talk to me like that. And I would never want anybody here to be spoken to like that.
I am so happy that Vicky is about to embark on the 12-week coaching accreditation course, because of course what we know is that comments like that, right? And even if it might seem like playful comments amongst siblings or people that you know or friends, those comments contribute towards beliefs you have about yourself and the world around you. And those beliefs can either empower you or hold you back. And obviously comments like that will create real limiting beliefs. But due to the things we learn on the coaching accreditation, Vicky's going to be able to untangle that, unpick that. She is in the right place. And so this is going to be a really exciting journey.
Definitely, definitely. And there was something else you said there about having that fear of judgment. And that's another reason why these negative influences in our life need to be removed. Because whether you think you can handle that criticism or not, or that bit of banter or that bit of negativity, and you feel like hasn't really affected you, in the back of your mind, you know they're just fucking waiting for you to fail.
Yeah.
You know, your system is going to be fucking laughing, you know, rolling around the floor going, ah, you failed again, I fucking told you. And the fear of that happening can be so overwhelming that people just don't even want to put themselves out there in the first place. They're like, I'm not going to risk going and doing a Facebook Live. I'm not going to risk investing more money into my business. I'm not going to risk having myself pointed at and laughed at and rejected and embarrassed and disappointed and humiliated in front of everybody. And again, it's another sabotage. You fear this time. So honestly, like when I changed my life, and for anybody that doesn't know this, like I changed my life. I sometimes forget that people might not know that part of me. But I've been in prison, I've been to rehab, and one of the best things I ever did to myself was I was released from prison, and I deliberately admitted myself into a 6 months fully intensive rehabilitation treatment centre. I did it as far away as I possibly could. I was from London, just outside London in Hertfordshire, and I moved down to Portsmouth, which is as far south as you possibly can get in the UK before being in the sea. Because I wanted to be around nobody that I ever knew. I wanted to be in a whole new environment with a whole new set of people and allow myself to discover the person I really was, because it's so easy to fall back into the trap of doing the same things with the same people, eating at the same place, hearing those same messages, feeling the same way. And I knew that I had to break away from that. My friends were never my friends. I'm not friends with any of them, not a single one of them anymore, because none of them were my friends. They were associates. None of them wanted to support me. None of them cared about me. They were just happened to be the people that I'd stumbled across, not knowing who I was and what my values were, and they just were the only people available to me. I needed to get a new environment. I needed to surround myself with people that actually supported me and wanted the best for me. And at the time, I actually found that in drug and alcohol meetings, like AA and NA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, being in these fellowship meetings, walking into rooms, getting cuddles and like telling them, oh, well done, mate, you're another week sober. That was, quite soul destroying at the time. But on reflection, those things were the best things that have happened to me, because I was able to get myself out of that bubble, away from that toxicity, I never say that word properly, and start to surround myself with people that actually wanted to see me recover and see me improve my life. And I just started taking one step in front of the next, and luckily built up enough momentum to the point where now my life is completely different. But that never would have happened if I was in that same environment with those same people.
No, definitely. And as well, that story brings something else up, doesn't it? Because when you go into that new environment where you go to those meetings and there are people who just want to support you, that brings another element of who do we listen to? Because, for instance, those people might not live the life that you want, but they will have a lot of support for you. And when somebody has a lot of support for you, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to take advice from them, but just to be able to accept that support, I think is actually really important as well, because we reject that a lot, don't we? We push it away and we only absorb the negatives, but letting that in is huge, I think.
Well, I guess it's like looking at somebody and taking advice and valuing what they have to say and allowing yourself to, learn from individuals based on the things that they have, but not necessarily the same things. So like, I might look at a guy in this recovery, in this fellowship, who's, an ex-heroin addict, but I'll go, fuck me, he's shown me the most warmth that I've ever felt before.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able, I want that. I want what you've got, that warmth that you're showing me. I want that. So how can I learn from you? How can I be more like that? And that might not come from the guy that's successful, making millions of pounds. He might not have that warmth. So in that scenario, I don't want what he's got. Like, there might be a successful business person who's great with strategy, but shit with people. Or maybe he's got no fulfillment. Maybe he doesn't like his life. Maybe there's a woman who literally doesn't even have a job. Maybe she's just like floating through Bali. I mean, there's loads of women out here, no shoes, you know, barely any money, just floating about with braids in their hair. They're probably the fucking most happy and content people you ever laid eyes on. It's about looking into individuals and seeing like characteristics, traits, personality types, and things that like you can benefit from, and learning about how you can get those things, because everyone's got something different to offer, haven't they?
This is what I love about discussions like this, because now we've uncovered 3 people, right, that would actually be very, very good to listen to. 1, listen to yourself. 2, listen to the person who has the life that you want. And 3, listen to the person who behaves in the way that you would like to behave.
Or is the person that you would like to be, kind of thing.
Exactly. That person who gives off. I mean, I love that. There's one thing that people talk about a lot in our world, and it's not creating a to-do list, it's creating a to-be list, right? So you can have a list of all the things you want to do, right? I want to do these 10 things by the end of the year, but I would also like to be these 10 things. I would like to be warm. I'd like to be kind. I'd like to be ambitious. And so it's interesting as well, because you, like you said, you can look at a person who doesn't have the things that you want in terms of the life they lead, but they may be the person that you would like to be in terms of the way they go about themselves or the way they hold themselves. And then you can start to model that and start to ask them questions around that. And as well, for everybody doing the NLP course soon, you're going to learn that within the world of NLP, we don't necessarily ask the question, you know, why are you so warm? We would ask the question, how are you so warm? How do you do it? And try to break that down and understand it so we can also do it. So I think that's another interesting third person, isn't it, that we could take advice from in one way or another.
I think there would be hundreds of different people that all have different parts of their life that we aspire to be like, you know? And it's just something that just pops in my mind when you were talking there, and especially about sort of taking advice from different people that are in different positions that can offer different value to your life. I'll tell you something that kept me stuck for a long time was feeling like I couldn't relate to people, and therefore I didn't want to listen to what they had to say. And it was actually just a defense mechanism again. It was like trying to keep me safe and trying to keep me like restricted. But I would look at people and I'd go, they're not on my wavelength. I'm not like that person. I don't want to listen to them. Literally, it could be anything. And I'd look for anything. I don't like their trainers. I'm not listening. I mean, I wasn't necessarily as arrogant as that, but I might be like, they don't dress like me, so they're just not that's just not me. And I'll just literally just cut off and disconnect and not listen to anything they had to say. And I was in a meeting, in a drug and alcohol meeting, and I was sharing, I was having a bit of a rant. I was like, fucking, you know, I'm not like you people. You know, I haven't put a needle in my arm in a street, blah, 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 blah. I can't relate to you. Like, I don't know how you're going to help me. No one's going to help me. And it was basically just a manifestation of fear and not feeling like I was going to be supported and looked after. I was just looking to like project it out onto other people. But someone said to me something very, very powerful. And I've learned so much in the drug and alcohol meetings, and I'm going to share it now. And that is, look for the similarities, not for the differences. And that's what I was doing. I was looking for the differences. I was pushing help away. I was pushing opportunity away. I was saying, you don't understand me. No one can help me. Get the fuck away from me. And I was living in a world where I was helpless and I was powerless, where no one could help me and no one was trying to help me. In reality, it was probably fucking everywhere. But I was just pushing it and pushing it away because I was looking for all the reasons as to why I was different, why nobody could help me, why they were looking for the differences. And then as soon as I started to shift the perspective and look for those similarities, I would start to actually find mutual ground where I could connect with people and start to build a bit more of a relationship and a more of an understanding with them, which allowed me to hear what they had to say, which allowed them to support me. And from there on in, it's one of the contributing factors that have helped change my life.
It's a great lesson, that, isn't it? And it's one of those things that, you know, that makes quotes, for instance, so strong. Somebody saying to you almost a quote, you know, look for the similarities, don't look for the differences. And it's things like that that can send your life into a completely different path because you start doing that. And it's so interesting because I can imagine so many people do that. It's the same, it's almost on the same level as why it's much easier to be negative than it is to be positive. And I was having this conversation with my mum the other day, who's the NLP trainer here at the Coaching Masters, and we were talking about that, that there's this ancient part of our brain that still exists from the days of when dangers were all around us. And
back in the day,
right? Back in the day, there's still a part of our brain that fucking exists now. And it's all defense, right? It's all defense. So back in the day when we're, living in caves and fighting off saber-toothed tigers with spears, things that are going well, we don't need to pay attention to those things. Positivity, things that are going well, things that do not endanger us, we do not need to pay attention to it because those things are not going to hurt us. The negatives back then, it wasn't a case of somebody said something mean to you over social media. It was a case of that a saber-toothed tiger is going to jump around the corner and tear your fucking face off. So you've got to be highly, highly aware of all of the negatives that are going on around you because you've got to survive. We've taken that still into 2020. We are so quick to pick up on the negatives. We're so quick to pick up on the differences between us. Like you mentioned there, look for the similarities, don't look for the differences. But it's almost like it's programmed within us to search for the differences, to search for the negative things. But we can reprogram. It can be done, right? It can be done. All it takes is a bit of conscious thought and some effort to start to focus your attention towards the similarities, towards the positives, towards the reason why we're more like each other than different from each other. And I think that's a really important message.
Definitely. So let's just summarize some of the things we've said. Listen to yourself, work out what your values are, where you want to go in life, and then find somebody who's aligned with that, who actually has the results you desire, who can help you get to that outcome. Don't necessarily look at people around you because they're authoritative in some respects and they have that sort of natural hierarchy in your mind right now, such as parents, teachers. Teachers is another good example. Like teachers, of course, incredibly knowledgeable. But knowledgeable doesn't always lead to results. Like you can have all the information in the world, but not have the things that you desire in your life. Professor in university with a PhD might have lots of knowledge. Is that going to help you live a life of freedom and travel the world? Not necessarily. So it depends on what you want. When I went to university for 3 months and I had lecturers teaching me on entrepreneurship that had never had a business, and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because I want to work this shit out for myself, because I'm not risking listening to this. Because if this guy knew about entrepreneurship, he'd have a business.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, so listen to people that have got what you want, and also like see different things in different people that have different things that you want. Things that you want in life don't always come in the realms of success and money and power. Maybe they might come in fulfillment and personality traits and just the warmth and the energy that people give off, and look for those things. And the number one thing, guys, I want you to remember, is all those fucking negative trolls on the internet are unsuccessful fucking wasters of time, looking to feel mildly better about their own situation. And it's much easier for them to troll and scour the internet than it is to actually fucking put a boot up their own ass and go and develop their own life. I can tell you from experience that all of those people that used to fucking say negative things and ask me to ask myself different questions and criticize what I was doing, and now still working in a fucking job with fuck all money, and I've ignored them and I've gone away and built something 10 times better than they did, and I've never fucking given any feedback or any shit to them. So the people who are successful don't have the time to be trolling through the internet giving feedback. Those negative, critical energy vampires that are out to fucking get you, look at it, delete them, block them, and go and do your own thing. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, and know that the only thing that's ever important is you doing what you want, not what a random fucker on the internet. So
I think that is so important as well, because knowing that, well, not knowing that can put so many people off of doing something great, doing something that they're capable of, doing something that really, benefits other people and really enhances their own skills and their own desire and ability, simply by getting negative feedback or getting trolled or getting shit off of people that aren't even doing the thing that you want to do. That can stop so many people from taking action due to that little part of the brain that we were talking about, where we really obsess over stuff like that. You know, it's not uncommon for people to receive 100 really positive, supportive comments and then get one negative one, and they put all of their focus into that negative one.
I knew it.
Exactly. And it's like, again, it's that whole defense mechanism where, you know, back in the day that would have been danger. So we've got to pay attention to it. But of course, now it's something that you can just completely ignore, right? Easier said than done. But it's all about a shift of perspective, a shift of focus over to the positive, over to the similarities, over to the support, in order to be able to move forward with your life and enhance your life. Don't allow those things to stop you from taking action. That must be one of the biggest crimes that could possibly happen.
And rather than ignore it, don't just ignore it. Block, delete, get them the fuck out of your life. There are billions of people in this world, and we do not have to be surrounded by the ones that are fucking out to sabotage our fucking dreams. So if they're your family, give them a little warning. Anyone else, get them the fuck out. They've got no excuse. There's no reason for them to be there whatsoever. But yeah, what you want, guys, is very, very important. And do not let anybody snatch that away from you. And just be very aware of people that are out there to do that.
Absolutely. There's a brilliant comment here from Chelsea. She said, only hurt people hurt people. That's interesting, isn't it? Only hurt people hurt people. Interesting one. Yeah, it's just their mentality. You know, it's one that, again, like I said before, just don't ever allow that to stop you from driving forward, taking action. There's a really interesting quote that I came across recently. It's not so much a quote, but I was listening to an interview with a very famous lawyer called Jeremy Waxman, I think his name was. And he was talking about one of the greatest pieces of advice he was ever given. And he said that one of his mentors said to him, Jeremy, you're going to get criticized either way. So you might as well do the right thing. And I thought that was so fucking powerful, because it's like, as far as he's concerned, what he wants to do is the right thing. Doesn't want to get criticized, but he wants to do the right thing. But just having the understanding that even if you do something that you truly believe to be the right thing, you're going to get criticized for it, because that's the world we live in. You could genuinely, I could tomorrow come up with the cure for cancer, put it online, give it to everybody for free, and someone will tell me to fuck off. It's just mental, isn't it? It's the world that we live in.
Look at you. You are fucking coming in here and trying to fucking give us all this antidote that we haven't asked for, you fucking monster.
Honestly, if someone did that tomorrow and fucking cracked it, that would be the response from some people. So you're going to get criticized anyway. So you might as well do the right thing. You're going to get criticized anyway. So you might as well build a life that serves you. You might as well chase your dreams. You might as well put yourself out there and try to help people and build a business and make money and travel the world, because you're going to get criticized anyway. So you might as well do it.
And there was a Jim Carrey version of that, actually, that was said, we all fail. We all fail constantly. And even if you go out and get a dead-end job that isn't what you really want from your life, you might end up still failing at it. So you may as well go and do what you love.
I love that. And he tells a story about his dad, doesn't he? His dad was working a job that he fucking hated for 30 years. And then he got made redundant, and it made him realize, I didn't even want that job, and I failed at that fucking job. I might as well have just tried to have done something I actually wanted and failed at that instead. Yeah, that's a powerful bit of advice, isn't it? Powerful.
You might end up failing at something you don't want. So you may as well fail at something you love. You're going to fail.
So for everybody watching this and listening to this, to drive yourselves forward, right? Be very, very protective over the advice that you take, the feedback that you take, the people that you listen to. Don't ever forget, it can also come from friends and family who in their world are trying to protect you. But in your world, it's not helpful because they don't have what you want, okay? So be very protective over that. Listen to yourself, listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, listen to your dreams, listen to those people who have got what you want, listen to those people who are the way in which you would like to be, and chase your fucking dreams, because you're going to get criticized either way, and you could potentially fail at something you don't even want. I think if everybody was to encapsulate all of that and take action, we'd be in a good position right now.
And Joe, I reckon would round that off perfectly. For anybody who's had any sort of achievement, who's taken any sort of risk, who's worked out what they want, who's taken at least a step closer towards something they truly want, regardless of what other people think they should be doing, or regardless of what others' opinions are of you, you've still gone, that's important to me, and I'm going to move closer to that. That's a win, and we are going to clap when you win. So Liam, should we give them a round of applause for that win? Because we want to be the people. Let's go. We want to be the people that clap when you win. We don't want to be the people that pretend that we're supporting you, but then are out to get you. We want to be the people in this community and inside the Coaching Masters community that are there for you every step of the way. Through the good, through the bad, we're still there to encourage you, to support you, to motivate, to inspire you, and to ensure that when you do get those wins and you do have those significant achievements, you're not getting dragged back down. You're getting lifted up even higher. And that's what we're all about here at Coaching Masters. And I guess there's nothing left to say other than this could be your reality.
Coach your way to freedom.